Driving again. Okay. Got some things to talk about. This is not, I don't know if it's going to tie into any current events or what's going on now, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about some things that pretty much how I found myself in the middle of false light and new age spirituality. And when I'm saying in the middle, I'm saying I was the co-founder of this place. And it started off with good intentions, right? That's how it always starts, with good intentions. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Well, if you want to know what that means, all you got to do is start something with good intentions and not include God. That'll get you there quick. But you know what? Back then, I couldn't wrap my head around how God has allowed so many negative things to be done through his name, right? I was coming from this point of view where the Catholic Church and what they've done, now it's public, right? And everybody knows about what they've done to the children and all of that stuff. I knew about all those stories. I knew friends who their brothers had been raped by, the priests and different things like that, and the congregation. And I grew up not religious in any way. I came from communism, where you weren't allowed to go to church. So I didn't grow up knowing about God, about Jesus. I don't even remember if my parents ever talked about any of that. Now, when I was 1, my mom sent me with my great grandma to be baptized, because in those days, that was the last generation that was allowed to go to church. And my mom had to wait outside because her generation, people her age were not allowed to go to church. So when I came out, my mom asked me, oh my gosh, she said, how was it? What did you think? And I said, Mom, the place is filled with Baba Yagi, with witches. Because in a Orthodox Christian church, you have to be covered up like the little babushkas, right? You have to have your hair covered, you have to wear long skirts. And that was my experience. But also, I do remember being baptized. I do remember having an out-of-body experience, because the priest lifted me above a barrel. Now, when I say barrel, I try to tell this to one of my teachers growing up, and she had no idea. She tried to correct me and say like a bowl or something. No, I'm talking about a barrel that you make wine, like a big wine barrel. Held me up above it and dipped me in it naked. And I had an out of body. I saw that experience, and I was not in my body. I saw it being done to me. I don't remember if I was crying. Probably. It didn't seem traumatic. I don't remember it being, I just remember it being so interesting, just having that. I can see it happening to me, but yet it's happening to me. So, that was interesting. So that was, religion. That was it. That's all I knew. I didn't know, no one explained why I'm getting baptized. No one explained what that means. That was my experience. Growing up, we didn't talk about God, Jesus, any of it. When we went to church, they spoke in old Bulgarian, where most of the people couldn't understand. I could never understand what they were saying at church. After we escaped communism, came to America, and went to church, a Bulgarian church, still, you can feel the energy, but never comprehending what exactly it meant to be Christian or Orthodox Christian or whatever Christian, right? What does it mean to have God and Jesus in your life? I still am on that journey, because there I am creating this place, being the co-founder of this beautiful place with beautiful intentions, where we're going to make it a rainbow bridge from 3D to 5D, and everyone is welcome, and unity, all of this crazy new age false light BS. We were speaking all of it. And I remember putting out a video explaining what we're creating, and a friend of mine, who's much wiser, said, hey, you can't be putting out your information like that, because people are going to come find you. People with bad intentions are going to come find you. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much for, all of that. I actually had several people tell me that. Me being so naive, not realizing that I was about to be initiated and taken through a journey. During the entire process, yes, we were targeted by the dark. I mean, we had people come and do cast spells and do curses to take all the money away. I mean, it was everything you could think of. Really, really negative people were attracted to that space. And I remember the other co-founder, someone from her past said, well, I don't see God there. I don't know what you guys are doing, but I don't see God. And I remember thinking, again, there's God, where in my head, so many negative things have been done in God's name and used, perverted, so many negative things. I couldn't find it I couldn't find the true meaning. Does that make sense? I couldn't find the good. I couldn't see it for myself. Now, on the other hand, I know that I have been connected to Source. I mean, for me, it was Source. It was Creator, which is the same thing. Yet, I knew I have been held my entire life. I knew I had the guidance that I needed to get me through all of the hardships, to guide me, to show me where I'm going, what I'm doing. I've always known that I've been held and protected and secured and all of those things, right? I just didn't connect that to God. For me, God was still was tainted. So I called him other things. But still having that channel completely, just being that connected, knowing that everything was going to be okay, because I always in my prayers put for the highest good of all. Now, for the highest good of all, for me, meant God's highest good. It was Creator. It was source, pure source, highest good, because my limited mind cannot comprehend what everyone's highest good is. Why would I say I know what's best for you? I don't. Only God knows. So anyways, fast forward, find myself in this community where now it's nothing but crazy ways of thinking. We're talking socialism. We're talking Green New Deal brought up. We're talking about the most satanic plans that's so anti-God in my view. Now looking at it, I couldn't even believe. Back then I was like, I didn't even know what I didn't even know what these people were talking about. I'm so much more conservative in my way of thinking, and just people with these ways of thinking that are so victim and creating enemies everywhere you see, and just so demon possessed, blaming. And I'm just like, it just hit me. My mom asked me at one point, this was a few years ago, asked me, you post things, but you never mention God. And then I really started thinking about it. I was really like, what does it mean to have God or Jesus in your heart? What does it mean to welcome God into your heart? So then I started asking myself, like, why do I have this resistance? How do I welcome God, the true God, the God where you can't have words in explaining what that truly is? How do I welcome God into my heart? What do I need to do? What are the steps? Who is Jesus? How do I welcome Jesus into my heart? And so from that wanting to know, I started my path, and I reached out to some of my friends, and I said, what does God mean to you? I think I reached out to almost everyone in the community. What does God mean to you? How do you welcome God into your heart? I'm on that journey now. I still think that's the first step, being willing. Probably reading the Bible is another one of those steps, right? I'm getting there. But when I realized there was I was surrounded by the false light. I was surrounded, and I was like, what am I doing here? How did this happen? I allowed others to take control, and I just let go of all control of things, and it became a mess in my mind. It was like a trap. I was paying all the bills, investing so much money, blood, sweat, tears into this place, and it had become my worst nightmare. It got to the point where people were so judgmental that they were wanting to put up signs saying that if you're not like this, you're not welcome here. I was like, well, I'm not like that. I'm the co-founder. I'm the owner of the space, so I'm not welcome here. Yet I invested everything. I put my family through the biggest hardship of our lives for this, and now I'm not welcome here because I allowed others to do what they wanted. Thank you. Thank you, God, for showing me how not to do things. It was such a brilliant lesson, because now I know what not to do. And I wouldn't have known that. I would have made all those mistakes when it really mattered in the future, because I know He's preparing me for greater things. And this is my preparation. I see the future. He's always shown me visions of the future. And I know they're visions that come from pure source, from God, from Creator, when they're for the highest good of all. And when I see things not being for the highest good of all, it's only good for this select group, or only good for these kinds of people, or these kinds of whatever, any kind of division, I'm not saying that everybody has to be included. I'm saying the highest good of all means that if somebody has a lesson to learn, just like that, this was for the highest good of all. Even with all the craziness, it came out to be the highest good of all involved, because the co-founder, the other person that founded this place with, found a beautiful place, which is amazing, and it's for her highest good. Like, literally the best thing that could have ever happened from all of this. Everyone was able to work through their stuff and create what they really, really wanted. And they had to go through this journey, which was a blessing, to get to where we are now, and to get to the future of where God's taking us. So, the whole reason for this talk, how I found myself in the center of false light and new age spirituality, and finding my way back to God when I didn't have those teachings. I didn't have that upbringing of what that meant. Just knowing that connection within, God brought me through and taught me so much, those lessons. And I'm excited for the next part of this journey.